Western ways, I don't have any Western ways that I adopt to African. I mean, obviously there are nuances, right? So like subtle things that we fuse together. Um, but Western, because obviously South Africa, we've been exposed to a lot of Western culture. You look at based on who we were colonized with, which was the British. So a lot of obviously the American culture is just infused in us from the fashion, the food, the music, even the language, the way sometimes we speak, based on obviously the television, what we were fed, right? So I look at myself, I'm a 90s kid, born in the 80s, through and through. It comes across in who I am, and I embrace it boldly, and I love it. The eclectic side of things in how I approach things. So the music, the fashion, it still is. It has that culture, but I don't apply any. In as much as yes, TV we see, you can say yes. A lot of obviously America, for example, is always forward. America is always in advance in a lot of things, technology, new things, new ways, which is why they become an influence, even not just Africa, even to other Asian countries. You look at now how the American culture, Western way, has influenced even Asian countries, in the music, the fashion, and so I look up to that. But obviously, Africa will always bring you back to reality. It will always humble you. It will always humble you. If not you, your neighbor will. If not you, your auntie will, your mother will, to say no. But remember, we are black people. We don't do 1, 2, and 3. And even myself, my children, yes, they might have grown up in the new times, new ways, but we always have to remind them, to say, this is, we don't do this, and that. So I don't subscribe a lot to the Western ways, but it has an influence. So I'll always look at it like a whole, fish. Whatever that's good, I take. Whatever that doesn't suit me, I throw it away. So, but obviously, it does play a role in a big way. But as said, Africa and being an African, is who I am, and it will always reign within and in me, in my blood. So that can never go away. It will never just go away. So I use it as a way to gauge, to say, okay, if that's happening there, definitely it's about to come here like a flu. And so how quick can I adopt? How quick can I, guard myself so that even when the contagiousness comes, I mean, we saw during COVID, one country sneezed and we were all in it, so that's how I look at it. But it doesn't influence me per se that deeply. I would probably say about maybe a 60-40, because of what we are exposed to, even the brands that I hear, mostly are international brands. And so, especially in South Africa, South Africa is one of the, most advanced and far beyond in technology and infrastructure. So we are always also quicker be the ones to adopt to certain things. It works for our good, sometimes not for our good. Sure. When I look at technology, we live in very interesting times because technology, I love technology because coming from that background, I look at having worked for telecommunication, and it's in the infancy stage. When South Africa got the first cell phone, we know when it was. And, then the telecommunication companies then were brought in, set up to take us forward, right? But technology, in as much as it has helped, but it has given power to the powerless. People sometimes with no sense of experience to say, this is what I've done, gone through, and this is how I can help someone. Because I believe when technology was brought in, even to South Africa or Africa, it was to empower us, to make us better for a better future, which it has, But the way it's been used to weaponize, people and the attacks and just behind the keyboards, where people, they can just swear and swear. It just shows. So you find we live in times where people can just make comments about anything and everything that they've never gone through. People can talk about divorce, never been married, talk about children, family building, never had children, talk about, even relationships, but people who haven't even held a a candle to a long-term relationship, they've just been tapping and tapping. So we live in those times, and obviously the apocalyptic era that we are in, where prophecy, everyone can just prophesy and prophesy, everyone feeling as if, I've got something to say. But all those things, they work together for good, right? So how I've always used technology, and having to understand it as well, is there's smarter ways of using it, and knowing when and not to engage, and also knowing when you know the intent and the function of what something was created for, like the manual book, then you know how to use it for what it is. So I've never been fazed by that. Also knowing that things like technology, they give leeway and an open door to those spiritual sicknesses that I was talking about. When someone is mentally, people who cannot confront things head on, issues, hatred. So technology becomes the best way, so it's that split between introverts and extroverts, if I can just put it that way. So yeah, we live in those times. So for me, as I look forward to that, as said, the messages are very tailored to build and grow. A little bit of humor there, but not something that disempowers, that will disempower. Obviously, it's good to tell people they should go to gym, they should work out. But when you don't understand the behind the scenes, the emotional impact, what people have gone through, you can't just critique someone from being a size